hello to everyone. The next talk is called Get the Fuck Out Binaries, and is Alina Stepchenkova from Group IB is going to present us different techniques on how to use these binaries for privilege escalation and how to detect them. As you may know, Group IB is one of the sponsors of this hackplayers edition, so I would like to thank you for being here.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm really glad to see you here today with me. So today I will talk about, wait a minute. Yeah. Today I will talk about GTFObins and how we can use them for privileges escalate. So, okay, so, yeah. But the first we will start. A few words about company I work for. Group IB is a leading and one of the top 7 most influent cybersecurity company worldwide. We are officially Europol and Interpol partner. And I work in SERGIP. SERGIP is a computer imagery response team of Group IB. We have more than 60,000 hours of incident response summary. And we also officially authorized by the Carnegie Mellon University and licensed to use the said terming in its name. So, about me, as already was said, I am Alina Stepchenkova. I am senior analyst of SERGIP. I have more than 3,000 hours of incident response, and I am also a Sigma project contributor. So, before we can start to talk about GTFObins, we should take a look for one thing that was present before GTFObins and has a huge influence on GTFObins. It is LOLBus. LOLBus is living overlaid binaries and scripts, and also libraries now. The goal of the LOLBus project is to document every binary, script, and library that can be used for living overlaid techniques. A LOLBin lib script must be a Microsoft Signet file, either native to the OS or downloaded from Microsoft. Have extra unexpected functionality and have functionality that will be useful to NPT or red team. Why is it critical? Traditional antivirus and endpoint detection solutions always be able, won't always be able to detect such kind of attack, and even if they do, even if they do, analysts might not be aware of this threat, and they could miss them, or they can also ignore it, consider it as a legitimate process. So, on a picture, you can see how a slide of LOLBus project looks. Below the introduce, you will see the following there, and below, of course, a long list of all known binary script and library that can be used by an attacker. But please be advised, LOLBus is not a typical, it's not just a common list of vulnerability or web bypass. The main idea is to collect all vulnerabilities, the main idea is to collect all possible ways attacker can use them to get persistence in the system, do privilege escalation, of course, and whatever else. For example, CGI task, as you see, it's the absolutely normal way how CGI tasks must work, that create a scheduling task, but if it's used by attacker or a malware, it will be considered as LOLBin. LOLBus actually everywhere, and there I provide some examples about how it can be used and by who it can be used from the no-freed groups, they such as Cobalt, TA505, Silence, and Money Taker. That's all financial cyber-freed group, and they are quite popular. Now we are ready to talk about GTFObins. I'm not sure actually if I can say along for GTFObins in that was, but if I can, GTFObins, long form for GTFObins is get the fact out beans. But actually, it's also stands for GTFObins, like in comparison with GNU abbreviature. In Olabas, we want to collect unexpected functionality in legitimate Windows tools. In GTFObins, we want to collect all legitimate function in binaries, which can be used by an attacker in any way. So, take a look at the site of GTFObins. There is introduction to GTFObins and the list of all functions that can be related to binaries. We will stop on them further. Now we will take a look at binary, and for example, we will see base 64. There you see how POC code looks for base 64 and description of functions, suite and sudo in that case. It might seem that lolbus we see pretty frequently, but GTFObins, for what is it, for whom, and if it exists, it's not seem it is used so much as lolbus. So, well, not exactly so. There is a screenshot from our TDS, one of the most powerful and awesome, I think, products of Group IB. In this GET request, the attacker gets an attempt to exploit an irretrievable vulnerability in the ThinkPHP framework. Pay attention to what tries to send with that. Yes, it's also could be considered as one of GTFObins, if being more precisely. It's a suite function for widget. For all presentation, the main idea I will try to show you is GTFObins in many cases so obvious, so easy, and sometimes so stupid that from the first you can even not believe you successfully escalate your privileges. But you also should understand, oh, sorry, there's a problem with my mouse. Sorry, I took it out. Sorry. But you also should understand that most of them happen due to misconfiguration or extra file with suite permission. So from that side, there is nothing new, only a human factor. In that presentation, I will use that function, suite, for privesv, as it is the most representative. But in reality, the only limit is your mind, because GTFObins can be used in a huge different ways with different vulnerability and different TTPs. So let's privesv for what? There, a quick look on my lab environment, where I will test GTFObins and how we can privilege escalation with them. There is a brief plan on what we are going to do. Step 1, when you are broken a system, it's highly recommended to check the user rights. In that case, we can run any of the existing commands, and that fact happens because of simple misconfiguration for the user. But we still be a generic user, not root, as you see there in sudo password for each con. We type password for each con, not for root. It's really important. Step 2. Then we will do some privilege escalation. Step 3, after we got root, we can do whatever. In that presentation, we will get access to a list of all password hashes. And perfect. Let's begin. Check who I am, a generic user. It's hard because we want to be root. Go to the site of GTFObins and check what we can do in the situation, copy and pass a get solution, and yeah, it works. But I saw sudo, someone can say it from you. Go deep and try to understand what happened. We will do the same, but with timestamps and who am I check. Stage 1. On stage 1, we try to run bash as is. It doesn't work. Okay, do magic. Copy the first line of POC. It's sudo ch-c and so on. Pay attention to we still use a password for each con. We not use password for root. After the first line, stage 2, after the first line, check date and who am I? We are still hcon, generic user. So, okay, copy and run the second line of POC, and from that is bash-p, we drop it into bash, and bash have a root right. So, there we also get access to shadow file, grab line for root, and crack the hash. On stage 3, after getting a real root password, we go to the stage, and there we do the same that we do on the stage 1. We also will try to drop and bash in several ways. Nothing especially happens. Okay, so stop on that, and we'll see on process list for user root and for user hcon. And now we will try to locate where stage 1 is easily, because we do timestamps, and we can just compare timestamp there with command we do, and we see where is stage 1. Stage 3 is also easy to locate, but we don't see stage 2. It's because stage 2 between them, but it neither for user hcon nor for root, and that show us it was a successful privilege escalation. Let's take a look again at our bash privilege escalation. I highlighted the first line of the POC code. We understand why it's privilege escalation. Now I will explain how sudo exactly works in that case. So, suite or set owner user ID is a special type of a file permission given to a file. Suite is defined as giving temporary permission to a user to run a program or file with the permission of the file owner. In simple words, user will get file owner's permission as well as owner UID and GID when executing a file or program or command. And suite will help us when not also easy. For example, we can find a convenient user for us with git access, as we can get user as hcon, like with all command to run. But we love admins not only for user root with password tour, of course. We also love them because they leave a lot of files with suite permissions. That files are fully legitimate, they are totally normal. Maybe there is also a scheduling task with them, and they also expand our opportunities to use GTFObins. The line on the slide will help you find all such files on the system. And if we will run command ls-la and we'll see the file rights, we will see that line, like rx, rx, rx. Look at -perm, -u equivalent s. S there is sticky bit, so it's if, and we search file without sticky bit. So if there will be sticky bit, that will be rvt, rvt, rvt. So, but we have rx, 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 and that file interesting for us, so because we can run such file as an owner, not as we, a generic user. In most of cases, we will run such files as a sudo, of course, and as a super user, so, and it's pretty interesting to us. Let's run this command and see what we can find. You might think something like that, like this list, when I executed sudo-l, but it's not the same. Sudo-l just show us all commands we can run on that computer, but there we search for file with suite permission. And as you see, there is our sudo. Return to our line. Now we understand that sudo is suite, is file with suite permission. It is also privilege and escalation, but not GTFObins. It's a vulnerability due to misconfiguration, and we see the way how we can bundle GTFObins with suite permission vulnerability. I hope I also make my choice of suite function GTFObins for that presentation more clearly for you. There was a lot I said before, so let's take a rest and have some fun with suite permission and GTFObins. Let's stop on Chmod. It's a powerful thing. It might be used on its own as well as in a bundle with other GTFObins and vulnerability. In this case, we will use Chmod on its own. So, from the first permission denied, as always, go to the site, check what we can do, and do. Success. Okay. Next, we will step on grep. Grep is pretty useful tool. We, I think, all love grep. It's really useful, but sometimes too much. As before, permission denied, we go to the site of GTFObins and see what we can do, copy and paste, and again, success. For better understanding how we should work on a compromised computer with GTFObins, pretended to be illegitimate and stayed as long covered as possible, let's refresh in mind how can we be detected. There you can see the list of first-minded things. How can you be detected by system administrators, SOC analysts, threat hunters, and digital forensic. They sort in order from easy to avoid to hard to avoid. But because the last 2 point is hard to avoid, there's also a lot of human factor, because even system administrator or SOC analyst will get alert. They might be, as I said in the beginning of my presentation, might be not aware of the threat, or just might ignore it, consider it as a legitimate process. And no, our SOC analyst in Sergey will never miss such a thing, such a threat. Don't even try. But it's how hide from SOC analyst and system administrator is not so, so complex. It's like just add extra space before your comment, and your comment will not be shown in bash history. Logs we can delete. Suspicious activity and common activity we can just do it as slow as possible. So it's not so complex things how to hide from system administrator and SOC analyst, but how we can hide and tangle our traces for threat hunters and digital forensic. And there is one more thing, it's planning a job. Planning a job, it's not only helpful for you when you do pen test or audit, it's also will help you hide your traces really, really deep. And before you will take any actions that compromise it, computer, check cron job. Only because you can find such a great task with full root in which we can add some new lines. In this example, there's a scheduling task that run every 2 minutes and clean such trash files .py. So let's take a look at this task, and there you can see I cut this task, and we see this simple code that just clean trash files. So we can in that code our own line that will escalate privileges for bin dash, and then we just check who am I each column, then check that and wait 2 minutes, check go to bin dash and who am I root, and again success. So it was a brief jump for GTFObins. For more details, for if it's interesting, I leave the reference and section for questions. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank
Hi.
you for your presentation.
Thanks.
Only one question. Maybe it's not simple, but did you try this GTFObin on emulator bash on Windows?
Sorry, could you repeat? I didn't get.
Yeah, this issue in Linux.
Yeah, it's for Linux. Yeah, of course. GTFObins, it's for Linux. LOLBAS for Windows.
Doesn't work on bash on Windows.
Bash, yeah. Sorry, yeah, GTFObins is totally for Linux, and all I shown in that presentation is related only for Linux and how we can, what we can do on Linux server, for example. If we want to compromise Windows, we should use LOLBAS, because LOLBAS is about how we can use legitimate binaries in Windows.
Okay.
So.
More questions? No? Okay, thank you, Alina.